This is Lyqa Maravilla, a registered psychometrician, a trying hard educator, motivational speaker, and author. And it's time for us to share stories, insights, and lessons as we keep trying hard to be better together. Ralph Ordanza asked me on Instagram if I ever experienced imposter syndrome. That's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, kung loaded man yung sigh ko kanina, it's because this is a difficult topic for me kasi it's something that I struggle with on a daily basis. And when I say daily, hindi yun overstatement or exaggeration. Talagang from the moment I wake up sometimes hanggang mahiga ako sa bed, hanggang magkaroon ako ng difficulty sleeping, it's usually because of this. Now, una sa lahat, I just want to thank Ralph Ordanza for number one, for following this podcast and for following me on Instagram. And of course, for requesting this topic. I'll just read yung message niya ng buo. No? Sabi niya, Coach, do you experience imposter syndrome? Not sure if under yun sa Trying Hard podcast, pero I would love to hear your insights about that. Thank you. And again, thank you, Ralph, for asking this. No? Kasi na-push ako to really confront this. I find kasi na, again, this entire podcast mula dun sa unang episode hanggang ngayon, and if you're just tuning in at yung first episode ninyo, I would really suggest that you start with the first 3 episodes then. It's been cathartic for me, and it forces me to confront a lot of the things that I haven't really put into words. And so, I'm taking this as an opportunity to really address yung imposter syndrome ko, which actually keeps me from doing a lot of things, which I know could be helpful to others. I'll be, again, very honest with you, no? I nearly quit yung content creation nung latter part ng last year, 2020. And on paper, or as an outsider looking in, that move doesn't make any sense. Kasi we just crossed 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Right now, we have 1.22 million. I have 1.4 million followers on the Team Lyqa account on TikTok, 800,000+ on my personal TikTok account. Tapos meron tayong 2 running pages sa Facebook. One has 1.2 million, the other has 800K then. And again, looking at all these numbers and even yung data na nakikita natin na, again, there are more viewers and more of them stay doon sa content, and that maraming mga stories of success and maraming mga commendations din from professionals from all over the country, all over the world, I still struggle with imposter syndrome. Now, i-define muna natin yung imposter syndrome, okay? Now, having the feeling of imposter syndrome is like this, no? It's feeling like an imposter or a phony. Basically, you're someone who's fake and having a fear of being found out as a fraud. Attributing success and credibility as a product of luck and or circumstance rather than of skill and excellence. So in plainer language, what that means is no matter who you are, what you're doing, what you've done in the past, all of the accomplishment, all of the success, all of the credentials, you still feel like a fraud, like a phony, like someone at one point in time, someone will write about you or talk about you, and you will be found out as someone who's just faking it in the world. And with me being someone who values hard work, and again, nandun na sa title mismo ng podcast na ito, Trying Hard, it's one of my biggest fears na someone would tell me na, okay, you're a fraud, you're a fake, you're just doing this for ulterior motives or for personal reasons. When I know 100% in my heart it's not true. I also feel unworthy of the situation that I'm in right now, unworthy of the number of people who follow me and who tell me that I'm doing a good job, which again doesn't make sense kasi dapat, di ba, pag may nagsasabi sa'yo na you're doing a good job, it makes you feel great. But what happens to me, because I have imposter syndrome, is it makes me feel even worse kasi I feel na parang niloloko ko lang ba sila? Like, am I even supposed to tackle issue ng democratizing education in the Philippines. And ako ba yung tao who should make these videos? Now, a lot of that is rooted dun sa fact na, number one, hindi kasi education yung degree ko. So, may parang chip ako sa armor ko. Kasi I know na on paper, di ba, although I did graduate with a good enough grade to have Latin honors, psychology yung course ko. May license man ako, it's about my course. Registered psychometrician ako, hindi ako licensed professional teacher. So, I have this nagging fear na, of course, in some circles, hindi ako accepted. I feel unworthy to be called teacher, and actually that's the reason why I had people call me coach instead. Kasi when I started teaching, most of my students were older than me, and you know, it was very uncomfortable for me to be called ma'am or teacher kasi nga hindi naman ako teacher. I feel like I don't deserve the title. I don't deserve to be called that. So I compromised. I said, just call me coach po. Pero syempre, it worked out. Kaya nga naging team like kayong tawag, no? Also made sense. I always tell people na I'm your coach. Like, sa preparation nyo before the fight, I'll try my best to prepare you. Pero pagdating sa fight itself, kayo na lang mag-isa. And, but again, the story is affected by the fact na I cannot have other people call me teacher kasi I know na I'm not one, or I don't deserve that. When people say that you're influencer ka, YouTuber ka, I still can't embrace those titles kasi I don't see myself as that. When people say that you're doing a great job or idol ko po kayo, fan nyo po ako, it makes me uncomfortable. Sa totoo lang, sobrang uncomfortable. Kasi it's when my imposter syndrome flares up. I'm so affected by this. But the thing is, hindi siya unique sa akin. And in many ways, it actually makes sense that I go through this kasi maraming overlap yung imposter syndrome tsaka yung social anxiety disorder, which I also struggle with. I also struggle with being called a speaker, a public speaker, or a motivational speaker kasi bulol ako. I stutter, and I've always stuttered as a kid. I've always had a bit of a lisp. I struggle with my vowels sometimes. So, to be called a speaker or a great communicator or anything like that makes me feel na parang, wait, I don't deserve that. When someone also tells me na, galing mo mag-English, sana maging katulad ninyo ako, I also struggle with that kasi, I'll tell you this up front, no? And I've told people this na rin many times before. And you've seen my English professor, one of my dear mentors, si Attorney Janet Villa. We talked na rin dun sa episode 9, I think, ng Trying Hard podcast. Those are the types of people that I look up to and I try to surround myself with. So, sa circle ko of friends, hindi ako ang pinakamagaling mag-English. I'm not even the second best. I'm not even the third best. Baka siguro na rank 6 or 7 pa ako. Ganun kagagaling yung ibang mga friends ko. So how dare I teach grammar and English to people if I'm not the best? Again, this is very, very personal to me. But I have to always go back to the fact na I did try to get them to create content. I did try to encourage them. Some of them are getting started right now. But nung time that people were asking for it sa YouTube channel ko, where I started posting primarily math videos muna, no one was responding to the call. And so it fell on my shoulders to use my gift, we can call it gift, when it comes to simplifying things for English. And that's what I did. Pero hindi ako grammarian, hindi ako linguist. And hindi ako nahihiya to say that kasi it's true. Ang ginagawa ko in a lot of ways is, again, simplifying things. That's just my goal. So when we talk about imposter syndrome, I'm not going to tell you na, okay, this is what works for me. Or if you do this, parang magic siya na may switch lang na mag-turn on and off. Okay? But what I'm going to share to you would be some of the ways to cope with it. Some of the things then na I try to do. And I promise to try even harder to do this year para I don't always end up as a blubbering pool of anxiety and tears because I feel like an imposter. Okay? So, a bit of a definition, story time for context, and now how do we cope with it? And again, this is me being very personal and raw. Again, this is something that I'm still going through right now. Okay, I just didn't want to wait until fully na overcome ko siya kasi I'm not even sure that it's possible. Again, it's like a perfect storm for me. My personality type, my past, my childhood, and of course my SAD. So how do I deal with it na lang? How do I cope with it? Now, the first thing that I would suggest is this. You have to really evaluate yourself. Okay? And again, pushing ako for self-awareness this 2021. Medyo recurring theme na rin siya in some of my earlier episodes and my earlier videos then even on TikTok and on YouTube. Pero very important talaga yung self-awareness. But when it comes to self-awareness, we're not just talking about looking for the holes in your being, no, or the things that you can work on. We're also talking about the things that you're good at. The things that you provide value sa world na ito. Sa ang aspect ka magaling, saan ka excellent, saan ka nagde-devote ng time mo, saan ka na field invested. Like even reading about things can actually equip you to talk about things. Minsan kasi yung idea natin, and again, I'm talking to myself a bit here, and I know I'm kind of boxing myself in by saying these things kasi I have to tell myself this, no? Pero, you know, when we talk about excellence in a craft or in something, it's not really just the degree naman that is the measurement of it. Now, I'm not going to go as far as saying na basta kung anong gusto nyo maging doktor, magbasa ka lang tapos maging doktor ka na. No? Of course, meron tayong mga licenses and meron tayong qualifications for that. But the idea is, if you're interested in a field of study, you can read journals, you can devote time sa practice nito, you can enroll sa mga courses, which I did. I do have a number of certificates when it comes to teaching online, teaching adult learners, creating a curriculum. It's just that I never really had the time to study, to go back to school and have enough education units. So when we talk about evaluating yourself, it's not just the bad, no? Evaluate yourself din sa strengths mo. Like, what do people say that you're good at? What are things that you're actually good at? Kasi, okay, cringy to na, para sasabihin ko na rin again, I need to hear this too. The fact that there are millions of people who subscribe to the channel and to the content that I make, and I rarely promote myself or cross-promote anything, no? We don't spend any pesos on marketing or on advertising, walang ganun. It's purely word of mouth and organic shares. I think I need to give people credit. Now, the reason why they listen, the reason why you're even listening to this is because you find value in what I do. So when it comes to evaluating myself, I have to also be honest with the fact that maybe there's something in me that you enjoy. One of the comments sa TikTok videos ko said na parang, Coach, ang galing mo talaga mag-explain. Yun yung skill ko, yun yung parang secret sauce. And even si Ma'am Janet, no, when we talked before, this was years ago, sabi niya sa akin, ano sa tingin mo yung what makes you different from other people? And I told her na I have a knack for simplifying things, like making complex topics a little more palatable, a little more easier to digest for people. That's the only thing na sabihin na natin I have an edge pagdating sa teaching style. So again, it's not entirely bad. It's not all bad. The fact that I'm an RPM and not an LPT, at least right now, doesn't mean that I don't have credibility. So again, you have to evaluate yourself. Be very honest even with your accomplishments. Kahit na kagaya ko, baka kagaya ko kayo, hindi kayo comfortable with that idea. Now, another thing, this is number 2. All of these are E's. I tried my best to make them E's, but it's easier to remember. You also have to express your feelings. One phrase that I try to use, even with my sisters or with the team, kapag emotional na kami, is this: use your words. You have to really use your words, express your feelings. Even saying lang na, hey, I'm scared, is actually a great move. I used to keep everything, all of my thoughts, all of my feelings, sa akin lang. So to myself, I never really talked about it to anyone. And then eventually after a few decades, no, a few years ago actually, I started talking to my youngest sister, si Jana. When she moved to Japan, nawala yung yung space na yon kasi I really wanted her to be free to start her life there. I didn't want to burden her or worry her na hindi ako okay here in the Philippines. So hindi na ako as vocal about my feelings to her. And then Zandy came along and then she kind of took that place. After, again, I guess a year then of her being friends with me, that's the only time that I started to express my feelings din sa kanya, my fears. People don't believe me when I say this, but I still shake, I still shudder, I still get really antsy every time I have to speak to people. Actually, kahit filming or a video or recording a podcast like this one, kinakabahan pa rin ako, and sometimes you would catch it na breathless ako, kaya nagsishake yung voice ko. Kasi I still struggle with social anxiety. But the fact that I tell people that, the fact that I'm able to tell Zandy na, wait lang, give me 2 minutes na and see ako, or can you buy time for me? I'm so nervous right now. It actually helps. So you have to express your feelings. Don't keep it bottled in. Okay? And yung imposter syndrome, actually, it helps if you tell someone that Kasi they can also assure you na, okay, wait lang, what you're saying, what you're feeling is valid, but you can look at it in another way. Now, ipasok natin yung third na tip, which is this. You have to examine your thoughts. Part na rin to nung fact na matutulungan ng pag-express sa ibang tao, no? Kasi you have to really examine your thoughts. Like, saan galing tong punishing ko na thoughts? Bakit ko to nasasabi? Like, when I tell myself na you shouldn't speak, you're not worthy to speak, hindi ka qualified, hindi ka teacher, itong success na to is something you don't deserve, and that when people find out that you're not perfect, they will hate you. Saan nanggagaling to? Is it rational? Is it well-founded? And, one thing din na nakapag-liberate sa akin is yung fact na I tell the team, I tell you, I tell all the people that I encounter that I'm not perfect. When people assume that grammar Nazi siguro yan kasi English yung ibang topics niya sa YouTube, I tell them talaga na hindi. Like, I don't even correct strangers online kapag mali sa grammar unless they're being rude to others. So I'm not that person. So all of these things, again, you have to really examine your thoughts. Ano ba yung rational dito? Ano yung reasonable? And then separate those. If this thought is not being helpful sa akin, and it's contrary to what I saw when I evaluated myself, then I could shrug it off. I can put it aside and I could deal with that later. I could at least call the lie a lie. Like, this doesn't make sense. Honestly, no, I don't want to turn this into parang special mention talaga si Zandy. Pero she has really helped a lot when it comes to this. She and my youngest sister and a lot of my friends like sila Diane, and of course all the team members no sa Team Lyqa who know me, the real me, and still love me like before, kahit na alam na ng neurotic ako, like sila Ate Ann Hinanay, she's seen me kung paano ako before a live review. Si Ate Norcy has seen me break down na rin, or si Ate Cecil also knows this. So all of these people in my life, they really helped me sort my thoughts. Like, one thing na ginagawa ni Zandy sometimes is she tells me, yeah, you're not a teacher, you're not a licensed professional teacher yet. Okay? Because I do want to work on getting that title someday. But you've already helped so many people. And maybe the fact nga na hindi ka teacher is what allows them to feel safer when you're teaching. Kasi alam nila na hindi mo sila gigradean, hindi mo sila i-judge. Wala kang presupposition sa kanila. So, itong mga bagay na to, again, you have to really deal with. You have to examine your thoughts. Like, which of these are beneficial? Which of these are true? Which of these are rational? And then the rest, you can discard those thoughts. Okay? Now, number 4, you have to encourage others. And I think that is what I'm trying to do here. by making this podcast. Kahit na nanginginig ako at hindi pa ako sobrang hinog in what I'm sharing to you. Again, this is very personal to me. But when you encourage others, I mean, you see others go through the same feeling na they feel inadequate, pero you encourage them, you tend to realize na, wait, why am I not as kind to myself? And that is something that I actually wrote 2 years ago in my journal kasi it's very personal to me too. Nalagay ko lang, how can you be so kind and forgiving to others and not yourself? Kasi ganun ako medyo may pagka-perfectionist ako, tas overly critical ako sa sarili ko. Like, if people can hear yung self-talk ko minsan, you would probably cringe kasi ang sama-sama ng words na ginagamit ko sa sarili ko. And I realized that the more I help others, the more accepting I am with others, kapag dinagdag ko lang yung line na yun na parang, why can't you do this to yourself? Malaking tulong siya sa akin. So, I'm hoping na by encouraging you, by telling you na yung imposter syndrome mo, it's a real thing, but that you can overcome, I'm telling myself that as well. So be kind to others, encourage others, and that can help you deal with your imposter syndrome. Now, yung last one is another E. It's simply to excel. Ano yung sabihin to excel? In my definition for this specific na situation, it's as simple as keeping on keeping on. Ibig sabihin, tuloy-tuloy lang. Magpatuloy. Even if you feel that way, even if right now I'm almost hyperventilating and overthinking this episode and thinking, na wait lang, should I let things settle down before I shoot this again? Even if I'm feeling this way, I just need to keep on keeping on. I know that when you're listening to this, then the mere fact na umabot kayo sa point na to ng podcast na to, it means that you also find value dito and that you want to hear this. Maybe you need to hear this. And again, si Ralph, no? Vulnerable siya enough to request this topic. So, ibig sabihin, I'm not alone. And because of that, I need to excel. I need to go on. I can't let my imposter syndrome stop me. That's the thing naman, I think, with a lot of things in life. There are good things, bad things in life, terrible things in life. But what matters in the end, if you think about it, is if I let that thing defeat me. Now, of course, we will cope sa iba-ibang mga pace. We will adjust yung sarili natin. We will learn from it sa iba-ibang mga time frame. But at the end of the day, what matters is the decision, the firm resolve that I am not going to let this stop me from fulfilling my purpose. And because my purpose is to keep sharing what I know, including the things that I have just learned, like itong diniscuss natin about imposter syndrome and my tips on how to cope, na hopefully ma-apply ko rin sa sarili ko. I just need to go on. And you can do that too. Let's choose to keep on keeping on. Okay? So, yan muna for now. If you are not yet part of the Trying Hard podcast community, we are on Facebook. Search nyo lang, Trying Hard Podcast Community. You can interact with your fellow tryhards online. You can vote for which topics we can discuss next. And you can also share your own stories sa pagiging trying hard ninyo. If meron kayo mga specific situations that you want to ask for advice, pwede natin yan pag-usapan. You can also fill out yung ating form sa bit.ly/kwentongtryinghard if you want to share your story or ask for advice or share your situation. And I will try my best na ipila yan sa susunod nating mga episodes. Okay? If you don't follow this podcast yet, follow nyo na. And again, we have a running giveaway right now. So if you want to get a chance to win freebies, you can go to our Apple Podcast page, write a review, and write your Instagram handle then so we can DM you for instructions if kayo yung mapipili to get the prize. And again, see you next time. Well, talk to you next time. And again, dito sa community na ito, sa podcast na ito, the goal has always been the same. We are people who dream big, work hard, are willing to start now, and hopefully, darating yung point na hindi na tayo mag-care kahit tawagin nila tayong mga trying hard o try hard. Okay? I'll talk to you soon.